Love Avenue. Their coffee's just not bitter.
Alright, ready? Let's go. Okay. We got some sound waves already. Welcome to KidMin Backstage, the place where we talk about kids ministry and take a peek behind the scenes. We try to share a little bit of what we've learned that works for us and some of our failures so you can avoid them. We release a new episode every Friday, and this is your backstage pass to see the magic or disaster that happens behind the scenes of our kids ministry. I'm your host, Gabe Baker, and today I'm joined by Brother Aaron.
Hey.
How's it going?
It's going.
This is, what do we have, 2 cancellations on this one? I think we had 2 cancels.
Yeah.
So we had to
I'm good
move
with
things
that.
around. So. So here we are. We're in the main sanctuary. We got our lighted backdrop here, which is kind of cool. So it's basically plywood with holes drilled in it. This idea came from, remember the boxes?
Yes.
With the lights in them.
How long did that take?
Oh, that took forever. Because it already had holes, but it was the lights.
Yes.
So basically there was boxes. They were about, they were probably 16 inches tall by like a foot wide, maybe a little wider, I don't know. And I had to drill or punch, a hole through the side, both sides of every single one to string those lights through. Yep.
And it was floor to ceiling, stage to ceiling.
Yeah, stage to ceiling, and I had to do it for each row of boxes. I did it on the floor in here.
Yeah.
And then we wrapped the whole thing with tape, like really tight.
One big wall.
Yeah, and then we picked up one row at a time, and it took like 3 people. And we brought them over and then stacked another one, and then we painted it in place, painted all black. So it looked like this.
Yeah.
But it looked really cool, but it was a lot of work.
A lot of work.
That was our space theme. That's what that was, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, well, what are we talking about today?
We are talking about 4 tips for Sunday school practice.
4 tips for Sunday school practice. So we practice every single week. Every Sunday morning we come in and we practice before, well before Sunday school, before church and everything. And then there's other practices that happen after that.
Sure.
The music practices and stuff. But ours is the first one.
Yeah.
And it's at 8:30.
8:30.
Yeah, 8:30. And so, and it's about 30 minutes, just under 30 minutes. And so we do that every Sunday. Now, I know that a lot of Sunday schools there's different dynamics. Every Sunday school is different. And I know that some Sunday schools can't practice due to logistics.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. And so, but I just thought it would be kind of cool to share what we do. Sure. And maybe somebody can apply it somewhere, even if it's an event or something.
Yeah.
Maybe you can't do it on a weekly basis like we do, but you could apply some of these ideas. So
absolutely.
So we just want to, I got a little tiny bit of alliteration in there. 4 tips for Sunday school. You see that?
I see it now.
But anyway, so we wanted to provide kind of what we do, and there's always that balance between, getting a script or getting something like this just perfect, and then operating under the time constraints that you have. You only have a certain amount of time available.
Right.
And so the balance is kind of that sweet spot between, like, we want to have a really solid plan, and, we write scripts.
Yes.
And we have a solid plan, and they're bullet-pointed scripts. But also we want to leave room for creativity, and because that's what we're all about. So let that creativity flow. But I think that it can fall too far one way or the other if you're not careful.
Yep.
Especially in the Sunday school world, probably more so on the creativity side, the ad-lib side. It could probably fall too far that way more often than the other way.
Absolutely. And I'm very guilty of this. So I could definitely fall into that much more. Yeah.
So anyway, we just want to kind of like what our practice is really about is it is about practice. And we're going to go through some of these tips, but it's really about the collaboration of the team, so that we can ad-lib and all of that.
Sure.
So the first thing that we typically will do on any Sunday, well, let me back up really quick, is we used to actually practice at 8:00. Do you remember that?
Oh, I do.
Way back in the day.
Yeah.
We would practice at 8:00. Yeah, it was. But we would practice at 8:00. And here's the dynamics that were different is And maybe, I don't know if this was better or worse, but back then, we did it some when we moved up here, but for the most part, that was when we set up every week.
Yeah.
Every Saturday night, and then we took down every Sunday.
Yep.
So our scenes were pop-up, you know. But we would meet at 8, and then our team, we had a team of, I think, roughly 8 people or something. Our team was not, like now we have like a roster, you know, of 30 people, and we rotate through those people. Back then it was like you were on for a whole theme.
Absolutely.
And then if you wanted a break or something, then you could get a break the next theme.
Yeah.
So, and we usually, those
Wait,
themes...
people could get breaks?
Yeah.
Why wasn't I told it?
Some people could get breaks. But, and those themes back then were like usually 13 weeks, a quarter, which is typical. And we've moved to, you know, typically our themes now are 16 weeks. Yeah. But we would practice at 8 in the morning, so we had about an hour practice. And then there was other things that happened at 9. And so we could actually practice like the whole thing.
We went, I do remember going through that.
Yeah, we kind of went through the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then there was, I had a small group that we actually met at 7:30 in the morning before the practice. We met at 7:30 and to brainstorm the next week.
Yeah. And
so we would brainstorm ideas and everything. And then it was hard because then you try to get your head back in the game with
for that week.
This one. And so I experienced that. Okay, magic and disaster, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a few weeks ago, I don't think this has ever happened to me. I mean, I've made mistakes all the time, of course, but I don't think this has ever happened to me. So I had flown somewhere, and so I had been writing scripts, like way out ahead.
Yeah.
I had been writing scripts. And so I'm writing stories and stuff, and I remember I was on the airplane on Saturday, you know, evening or afternoon, flying home, and I was writing scripts. I wrote like 3 on the airplane ride. So I was writing all these scripts. So then Sunday, we get there, we do our practice and everything. I'm there. And I get up to do the intro for Bible story. Mind block. I could not remember what the Bible story was. At first I said Daniel, and I was like, that is not it. And my son was running, Adrian, he was running the AV, and he looks at me, he's like, no. And our timer thing doesn't say what, it just says what's next. You know, it doesn't say what the Bible story is. And I could not, I actually had to pull my phone out on the stage and look up the script because it was bad. There's a disaster behind the scenes right there. Well, it wasn't behind the scenes; it was on stage. But I could not because I had all these Bible stories floating around in my head from writing, and so it was bad. And I still don't remember what it was. It wasn't Daniel. I know that.
It was David.
Yeah, probably. I couldn't remember, but that was bad. But anyway, so. So we have the practice because some of it is about, you know, what I have always dreamed of is taking each segment and it being just stellar, top notch. And we've talked about that before, but like you still only have 2 minutes or 3 minutes or whatever for your segment.
Sure.
But as if it was the only thing that you were doing and making that epic, you know. Yeah. And so we don't do that. I mean, we sometimes we do, but we don't do that as a general rule every Sunday. I wish we did. Yeah. And that's what we're, you know, striving for.
Sure.
But that's kind of, I guess, where the whole idea of practice comes from. Right. That's why we practice, is so that we can make things awesome, you know, and do something cool. Yeah. So the first thing the first note I have is that we review the script as a team.
Yeah. And we always do that. I think every Sunday morning we go through each part, who's doing what, and that eliminates. It doesn't happen very often because you're pretty in on that, but that eliminates crossovers.
Yeah.
Right. To where if you're in the middle of something,
we discover it.
Yeah. You find out. You can't be two people at the same time. Yeah. You're on stage and you come back out another character. That doesn't work.
Yeah, and that's what the mistake is. Yes. I mean, we have typos and stuff, but that's usually what it is. It's like, oops, I didn't realize, you know. And then it also provides a place for us to give ideas. So we're doing a run through, and a lot of times, like, our scripts are not they're bullets, they're bullet points. They're bullet points. They're not dialogue or rarely. I mean, once in a while, like if we, like sometimes we'll do a conversation between God and Moses or something like that, and we try to get it a little more accurate.
Sure.
So there's actually some dialogue written, but for the most part, it's ad lib. But the thing that we can do is we get there, and sometimes I'll be like, I'll be on stage and I'll be like, so I don't know, we got to figure out this scene change. And then somebody will throw out, like Brother Keach is really good at that. He'll throw out ideas or whatever, like, well, why don't you have, since he's already going to be over there, and we come up with some of these ideas in that practice. Yeah. And that's like a big part of it is that collaboration.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing that kicks into that too is trying to find, say if you're, sometimes it's really hard, but if you're like doing memory verse or you're doing, especially offering, because you can only do so many examples of offering. Yeah. But we always try to tie in everything that we do. We tie into the subject of that day. Right. Yes. And sometimes with offering, you just got to go with Old Faithful, give because it's right, But we at least try to think of like the 2 or 3 of us that are in that section. Like, hey, what could we do? Yeah. Who's going to be the guy that doesn't want to give today? Yeah. And then we work out those kinks before we start.
The other thing, let's talk about this really quick, just because of those logistics where people don't, they might not have the luxury of a 30-minute practice or whatever. But what if you had 15 minutes? So one of the things we've done, because like our Sunday school, we do a 30-minute practice, but our Sunday school is an hour roughly. And so one of the things, remember how we've done occasionally where we will split the groups up, and like your group, you 3 are doing offering, and you 2 and this guy is doing memory verse. So why don't you 4 get over there? Yeah. I'm gonna have to get a table, I guess. Why don't you 4 get in there and practice that, and at the same time, we're gonna go over here and practice Bible story or some Bible story usually has a lot of casts, but anyway, so we can use. We're simultaneously doing that to redeem the time. See, there we go. That's scriptural.
That's scriptural. That's Bible.
That's Bible. That'll preach. But yeah, so we have done that, and so that's something that somebody maybe that doesn't have enough time, they might could start with that. Is like, and the other thing is prioritizing, like what's critical. Yes. Like we hardly ever, if ever, I don't know, we might have before if we were doing something unique, but we don't practice prayer requests. Sure. We do prayer requests every week, but we don't practice prayer requests. Yeah. And it depends on your Sunday school, though, because we do Plan of Salvation every week, too. Right. But we do practice that because we do it in different ways.
Different ways, yeah. How can we tie it into the subject or a different way? Because we kind of have the Good Faithful, Explorer with the map. That's kind of been the go-to.
Yeah, we got that. We made a map, a paper map that's all crumpled up.
So it's finding out ways to still teach the Plan of Salvation that they're going to remember. Yeah. First of all, but that it's not the same exact thing.
Yeah. And so when we do these things, like with our segments, like to give people an idea of why it would need practiced at all, is Plan of Salvation sometimes, I would say 30% of the time maybe, we teach it as a staff person. Yes. So to back up even further, on our casting sheet, we have two roles basically. We have staff, which there's a formula in there that highlights it yellow, and character. And so staff means that you are, you're not dressed in costume. Yeah. And so you're coming out, and it's usually like an authoritative, like you don't do altar call as a character. Yeah. Well, we did one time. John the Baptist, I think, did it. Yeah. As a character, but for the most part, it's a staff person. Yeah. Does the altar call,
brings it more serious.
Yeah, and then usually prayer requests is done with as a staff person. So there's those things. Even lesson is most of the time a staff role. Yeah. But then we have character roles. So with Plan of Salvation, sometimes about 30% of the time we'll have it a staff person tell the Plan of Salvation or talk about it or bring a whiteboard or, those
Yeah.
kind of things.
Yeah.
Still be creative, but it's a staff person, a teacher.
Yes.
But more often we have a character or characters come out, and there's some kind of storyline, or like you said about the map, they're lost.
Yes.
And they open up the map, and the map like actually shows like, oh, there's like this river or something,
Right.
you got to be baptized,
Yes.
and so that's why we want to practice those things, is because we kind of build a story into
Right.
it, even with offering, like we do
Yeah.
a thief or something, trying to steal it or whatever. Yeah,
Mhm.
so we do those things. But okay, so the second point, we're gonna be here
Always.
all night. So the second point is, you were kind of talked about it already, but it's clarifying the lesson topic, and that's something I guess lately we've been focused on even more.
Yeah.
And so clarifying the lesson topic so that everything, like, if you're being creative, if you are doing ad lib and you're being creative, everything that you do ties in
Yeah.
to that lesson somehow. If the lesson today is on repentance,
Yeah.
then I think let's just script one right now. So offering, if we have 3 people, we could have somebody coming out to present offering, and another person is holding it, and then a thief comes and takes it,
Yes.
and catch him, and then he asks for forgiveness and
And then we have to
repents,
forgive
and we
them.
forgive him, and so we do things like that, where it fits into our it fits into the segment, as it's an offering
Sure.
segment, but it also ties it into the
Yeah.
topic for the day.
Yeah, it's like getting in a flow. That sounds super spiritual, but
Yeah.
getting in a flow to where everything's always headed to the altar call for us, I think,
Yeah,
for the most part.
points at the altar.
Points at the altar call, but it's creating that flow, that consistency to where the kids can leave. They might not remember every piece of it, but they know,
Yeah.
hey, today was about repentance. Today
Right.
was about giving, because we've touched it in every aspect of the
Yeah.
day.
Yeah,
They've
from
heard it
the
multiple
outside
times.
welcome to
Yes.
offering to
It's
the Bible
been-
story,
right.
of course.
It's been presented to them multiple ways, so it sticks.
Yeah. Yeah, and the other thing with going back to, like, with the practicing and the reason, like with that collaboration, we're coming up with ideas and everything, is we also do I don't know if it's on the notes later or not, but I just remembered it, it's number 4. Okay, I'll come back to that. Don't let me forget.
Put a pin in it.
Don't let me forget about the improvisation. Okay. Well, so the other thing that we do is we review our blocking. So blocking
It's
is
very
a
important.
theater term. So we're not just trying to sound cool, but so blocking, basically, for those that don't know, is just where are you going to be?
Yeah.
That's basically what blocking is. It could get a little more complicated in like, say, a sword fight sequence. Then you're actually planning a little bit more.
Right.
I mean, we ad-lib those too, but we have planned it out where. Do you remember one time we had, like, it was super cool. We planned. We did I think it might have been the Pirates and Navy or something, but we had a sword fight because one of them had a broom, I remember, or a mop or something.
Yeah.
And they did some. We've choreographed some pretty cool moves, but then he flicks that mop behind him, and there's a net, and he grabbed the net and threw it on top of the bad scar or whatever. And so stuff like that, that's like choreographed.
Yes.
We don't do that a lot, but it's cool.
But it's very cool.
Yeah. It's like, that's like the kind of the thing I was talking about, like taking it over the top, that kind of the next level.
Right.
But anyway, so that's what, like, the blocking means, is kind of, where are you going to be when. And the other key thing is, like, scene changes.
Yes.
Like, say, in the Bible story, a lot of times you'll have, where, you got Daniel in the lion's den, right? And so we, like, the part where they haul Daniel out. So they call for the guards come and grab Daniel, and they haul him out.
Yeah.
Well, then we got to do a scene change, because we want to see Daniel in the lion's den,
Right.
maybe for the scene, or maybe we're wanting to see the king can't sleep, or both, or whatever. So a lot of times we'll haul our backstage is actually in the back of the room, not behind the stage. So currently it's in the back of the room behind the quote unquote audience.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll drag him out, and that's, he goes back there.
Yeah.
And then like we'll do a scene change there, and so that's where the blocking comes in. It's like, the king is like, oh, I'm gonna go to bed now, or whatever, whatever he's gonna do.
Yeah.
And then he walks off, maybe a different way, but he gets off the stage.
Yes.
And then here comes the guards dragging Daniel in.
Yeah.
Throw him into the lion's den. Now he's on stage.
Right.
Because it's not like video where you can cut to.
No.
You have to come up with all those scene changes. So,
and it's important for transitions too, because, for example, you're talking about a king. Like if you're doing a part with the king, then you have a throne set up.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you want to, like you said, bring Daniel back out in the lion's den. Well, you can't have a throne sitting there if it's lion's den. So you have backstage or facilitators move that as you're exiting. And then one cool thing too that I thought of it's really cool that we have. So on our stage, is that stage right? If you're
right. On the stage, it's stage whatever, the actor's right.
So stage right.
Yeah. House left. Yeah.
Yeah. We have a secret exit or entranceway.
Yeah.
And so, because there's times like, for example, if you're a guard and you're out doing a silly scene and you actually get killed, not super violent, funnily, right?
Right, yeah.
It's not a word, but funnily get killed.
Funnily, yes. There you go.
So you make it funny so it doesn't, freak the kids out.
Yeah.
But a lot of times what we try to do is I tend to be the one that dies a lot. So what happens is, like, Brother Keach or Brother Brent will like drag me out, like physically drag me out, because you don't want to like pop up and run out.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, he was dead, but he is not anymore.
And then, so transitions are huge, knowing when to come in, when to go out.
Yeah. Exactly.
And pre-planning that just makes it seamless.
Yeah.
As possible.
Yeah. And that's where, like, in the practice, and that's why, we have so much happening sometimes that if we don't know, because we've had it fail too. Like, we've practiced it and then it's like fell apart, or somebody missed practice and we forget to bring them up to speed, and so we get out there and they're in the wrong spot. We're like, what are you doing?
Yep. Guilty.
Yeah.
Guilty. I've had that happen before. I didn't get here on time for practice, which you should be.
Yeah.
And had no clue where I was supposed to be.
Where are we going? What are we doing? And then when you are we do a lot of interactive stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so as soon as you get the kids out of their seats, it's going to be chaos. Hopefully controlled chaos. Like I like to say, controlled chaos. The controlled is a small c, and chaos is with a capital C.
Yes.
So controlled chaos, but that's where the blocking. Like, okay, so we have a playground over on the other room. And when we go over there, like the last Sunday, we went on the mission, search mission or whatever. And so I actually built the playground with the like rotation in mind. Like, how is this going to work? Because, you get a bunch of kids going through there. And so it's designed to split into two groups. And we have done more, but it's basically designed to split into two groups. So what we have these climbing platforms, and so they're like the ones that, if you're on video, you can see like it leapfrogs one other, and then so it's like 4 of them, and then you go up to the second level, and the second level is a maze. The other side, there's a climbing wall.
Yeah.
Well. And they use this for school too. And so I know the climbing platforms, it takes longer to go up.
Right.
So I built the maze to where, because I figured most of the kids, the bigger kids especially, are going to want to go down the bigger slide, because we have a big slide and a small slide. And so I figured, let's make them go up the platform. And the platform to the big slide is kind of a straight shot, or it's not very many turns. Whereas the climbing wall to the big slide is a lot of turns to go through.
Yes.
And then the climbing wall to the small slide is pretty straight, So anyway, that's all planned out. But that took a long time to explain. But with our blocking, one thing that we've realized is when we're going to go to the playground, we usually plan who's going to be where.
Yes.
Instead of just saying, okay, staff, go over there. We usually, okay, you're going to be at the bottom of the big slide. You're going to be at the bottom of the small slide. You're going to be up in the maze.
Yes.
and we have it all.
You're going to catch the kids at the bottom of the slide.
Because it's fast.
Man, when they get their suit
slide.
coats on or their girls in their tights, they just...
Yeah. In fact, we had to put a pad on the wall just in case. I got a gymnastics pad, and it's like there's a column right there.
Yep.
I remember we were building it, and Dawson's like, people are gonna hit their head on that. I was like, you think so? So I got on Amazon and ordered it.
And luckily we did, because it's happened.
Yeah, we could put that pad up and.
Yeah. Well, the cool thing about that, just a little side note on that, it's not huge. It's not a really, really big obstacle course or playground.
Right.
But a few weeks ago, we did it for youth.
Oh, yeah.
I was up here manning that station. We had two groups coming up.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, we had 20-year-olds like, where am I at? And they'd poke their head up and look around like, where am I? We had these kids that just go through it like nothing.
Yeah, all the school kids,
Yeah,
they were
they
like
just-
in and out. Yeah. That's funny. Yeah, because the school kids, they play on it every day. They tear the maze up.
Oh, yeah. Moving on.
But, yeah. Yeah, that's funny. I remember that actually because I had come. You were up here. You were like manning this area, but I had come up because I was videoing. Oh, I think it was the first ones, and
Yes.
yeah, they were like in their 20s, and they
were
kept on
so
seeing their
lost.
heads pop up above the maze because it's like 5-foot walls or something.
Yeah.
and they both came out the wrong way, I think,
They
or
did.
something. That was funny. Yeah, that was good. Okay, now we can get to my note that I was trying to jump
Yes,
the gun on
do it.
earlier
Number 4.
before we run out of time. So number 4 is experiment with improvisation.
Yes.
Improv is what we call it.
That's what we call it.
So, whenever you type improv, it looks like you were trying to spell improve and you forgot the E.
True.
Because improv.
True.
So, anyway, experiment with improv. So here's I think one of like the biggest things for practice that, especially if somebody wants to say like, oh, we're all about ad lib, like Brother Keach loves ad lib.
Oh, yeah.
So, and he's good at it. But if somebody were to say like, oh man, we're just going to ad lib, we're going to wing it or whatever, because it always goes well, and they do that. So this is something for them.
Yes.
Is we still do ad lib because, like I said, we're just bullet points. We do ad lib, but the beauty of practice is you can, you know how like people screen their calls.
Yeah.
You can screen your ad lib,
Absolutely.
and we've done it before where because like in our Christmas practices and stuff, we use what worked, what didn't work.
Yeah.
So we use that in Sunday school too. Is we'll do something, maybe it's really funny, and we're like, actually, this should be a serious part,
Right.
you know, or we'll say something.
For the flip side of it.
Yeah, or we'll say something that's like, oh yeah, keep that, say that.
Or
you know.
we'll be practicing a part and we're trying to add something comedic in, and somebody that's not even part of that, we'll just throw something. Hey, you should do this. You should do that.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you're like, oh yeah.
Yeah,
And it works.
Yeah,
so
because that's
well.
the other thing. The collaboration is sometimes you can get tunnel vision, and you just because you've been looking at the script and you're like, I got these certain ideas, but somebody else that maybe they weren't focused on that part of it or whatever. And in practice, they're like, oh, this would be funny. Do this and or this would be epic. You know, maybe not funny, but most of the time it's something funny. But yeah, and so that's where that collaboration comes in handy is we can still ad lib, and we still ad lib live stuff. We do, but it kind of gives us I guess more of a script.
Yeah.
You know, we're a little bit more scripted because we just practiced this.
Right.
You know, and so by the time we get
work the bugs out.
Yeah, exactly. So by the time we get in Sunday school, it's, you know, what, hour and a half, almost 2 hours, maybe about 2 hours later, we get into Sunday school, and we just did this 2 hours ago.
Yeah.
And so it's like,
Just
you
flows.
know, it flows way better than if we were just trying to ad lib the whole thing, you know.
Yeah.
That could easily fall apart if we,
Oh yeah.
you know, ad lib the whole thing.
Definitely.
So, okay, well, I guess just to recap, we know that everybody can't practice, and we know some very good Sunday schools
Yeah.
that don't practice.
Yeah.
And so, but we do, and it works well for us.
Sure.
Maybe we just need it.
Yeah.
But it works well for us, and so we practice every week. But if if you have the time and you just don't practice, maybe try it and see what happens. Because I think that you would find that it's good. And you don't have to start off every week. You know, you can say like, okay, we're going to do this special thing. In fact, some Sunday schools don't, I would say actually most Sunday schools don't do what we do. Mm-hmm. But a lot of them do kind of what we do on either once a month or once a quarter or something. They do, you know, like everybody comes together and they do Sunday school. A lot of Sunday schools have separate classrooms. Yeah. And then that's what they do is they all come together. And so, when I was at the Kingdom Kids, I was talking to somebody and they were asking about our Sunday school. And I said, well, on a smaller scale, because Kingdom Kids is pretty big, but on a smaller scale, as far as the number of kids, I mean, our scenes are pretty epic. I mean, they're pretty big. But I said, we do this, what we're doing here at Kingdom Kids, the acting, the songs, everything. We do this every single week. Full costumes. We have locker rooms. We change, multiple times. Yeah, and multiple times. Yeah, and like for this theme, I have a crazy suit that I wear, and then I have my director outfit, which is like all black. I got these black thing and these boots that I got to lace up, and then I got the tactical vest. Man,
that's tough.
Yeah, and I that suit I wear, I got to change into. I have a dress shirt, a red dress shirt,
right?
And then I got to take that off and put on it's like an Under Armour shirt or whatever brand. But anyway, so I got to throw that on.
Not a sponsor.
So yeah, not sponsor. So I got to throw that on. So and it was like a couple weeks ago. I changed back and forth. It had to been like 5 times. I had to be welcome with my suit on. Then I had to go change into the director because I had to do something with the director. Then I had to go change into my suit. So it's like back and forth. And then I wasn't in the Bible story, but if I had to do that, then I'd be in the Bible story too, you know? So, yeah.
Well, thank God for Anisha. I mean, I know I'm guilty of just like running in there and throwing my Bible costume just on the ground and my wig and my beard and then grabbing something else. She's back there cleaning it up, putting it away.
Yeah, by the time you come back from the segment, it's all clean again.
Like, where'd it go?
I've said this before, but I'll never forget when Brother Booker first came to our Sunday school a few years ago. And then he did a podcast right after, and he was talking about us, very, very kind words and everything. But I remember him saying, and they have a costume manager, and you just throw your costumes on the floor. When I heard that, I think I was driving down the road, I started laughing because he's right. But I was like, that's not how it's supposed to be, but it is. Yeah, it is. And I'm bad about that too. I'll run in and I'll abuse that big time. I'll throw everything down. I'm like, I gotta be a guard.
Yep.
And then that's what happens sometimes too. We're getting over time, but that's what happens sometimes too. Is sometimes we'll throw in a character. Yeah. You know, that we practice and everything, and we're like, oh, we should totally have a guard. I'm not doing anything right now. Yeah. And we'll go in there and, you know, change and sure. So, yeah.
Well, one thing real quick, too, on practice I thought of earlier, and I just didn't have a spot to say it. If you're not able, like, because of logistics or whatever, you're not able to come early and practice, I mean, even like the Saturday night before.
Yeah.
Do a FaceTime call real quick, a 10-minute, 15-minute phone call, and just send the script out and just have everybody walk through it. And even doing that, you'll find working those logistical bugs out.
Yeah. The same thing like we said, the issues that come up.
Yeah.
The crossover.
That's an easy fix, something to start if you're not able to do it every Sunday morning.
And it captures everybody's mind a little bit like, hey, okay, let's actually think about Sunday school.
Yes.
A little bit.
Yeah. Not just wing it.
Yeah. I think sometimes I feel like I'm the only one that thinks about Sunday school outside of Sunday, Yeah. So.
Well, I was at a thrift store the other day. I'm getting to that point in my life.
Oh,
and
man.
I just didn't get it, but I was looking through and I saw the suit jacket and I'm like, that would be so perfect for Sunday school.
Oh, man. Oh, yeah.
I'm always finding those little gems.
Well, it's cool because like Sister Burgess even, she was out. That's our pastor's wife. She was out and she sent me a text of this hat. It is so cool. She sent a text. She's like, "Do you want this for?" I said, "Yes, I want it." I
Was it
didn't
the
ask her.
clockwork? Not
Yeah,
clockwork.
it's not like all the stuff
gadgets
all over.
on it.
Yeah, clocks and stuff.
That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We're gonna use it for
We're
some
gonna use
character.
it.
Anisha put it in the hats and in the locker room, but I don't. I want to
gonna get
save
used.
it, so I hid it underneath. But I was like, yeah, that's gonna be a character or something. That is so cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then like Sister Rochelle, she just texted me the other day, and she bought 2 things for Sunday school. So people, they think
They
about
donate.
it and like because
And this is a good time of the year with spooky Halloween
oh
too.
yeah, yep.
Just
that is.
random things come up and they're on sale afterwards. I mean, you're not gonna have
It's a good time of year to get costumes.
Yeah.
Like a bunch of our brown robes that we have
Mhm.
are some kind of monk costume, and they were all on sale after the Halloween thing. They were all on sale, and I got them for so cheap.
Oh yeah.
And that was years ago.
Mhm. We're still using them.
Yeah, and we still use them because they're good. Like we usually add to it, but they're a good underneath thing. You got this brown robe and then some kind of tunic or something. So, yeah. Okay, really quick on our recap. So clarifying the lesson topic, and that's so that you could tie everything into the lesson because we are trying to point everything to altar. Yeah, we're always trying to point it to the altar. And so if everybody is on the same page, the script, if they're on the same page, and they all know, okay, this is the topic that we're shooting for, then when you're ad-libbing, you can tweak that ad-lib. Yes. Now I'm doing Plan of Salvation, and I already have this thought in mind. I'm going to be this old prospector doing this and that. But now I'm going to tweak it a little bit because the lesson is on repentance. So I'm going to focus on that a little more or whatever. And so that's the importance of clarifying that lesson topic.
Yes.
And then review your blocking. Not every Sunday school is like ours. We got a lot of moving parts and everything, but just kind of review where people are going to be. Even just knowing, even if you're a sole proprietor, if you're a sole teacher, and you're going to do something kind of drama type, is even thinking through it, the blocking. If you're going to use kids, just thinking through, okay, I'm going to have Johnny come up over here and Susie over here, or, just thinking about it, thinking through it a little bit.
Well, doing the blocking eliminates those dead spaces too.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a big thing is we try to keep our transitions
Somebody's
tight.
always coming out or leaving.
Interrupting.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And then the final thing is the improv is kind of, what works, what doesn't work. Try to figure that out. Screen it, Try to figure it out in practice, and then you can be even better when you're live.
Yes.
Well, we are well over time, so that's a wrap.